in case we're already super confused with even more acronyms, because healthcare loves acronyms like PMO and CPOE, I've got a cool video that shows it, so I won't introduce that quite yet in case we're already. But basically, as Pat said, she hired me, sat in a giant boardroom with just her and me, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I can do this because I had never done healthcare IT necessarily, but Pat saw that, hey, maybe she could do it, and so it was a hybrid role, so while I'm in the internal communications department, have a reporting line to Pat in the program management office. And some of the things I did, I took a course in clinical informatics, a master's level course that, of course, now you get credit for right after I took it. So I didn't get any credit for it necessarily. As well as just, reading what all of it's about, newsletters, etc. I sit on the steering committee in the project management office, so I always know what's going on. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of the things we've got at the hospital. So, as usual, I imagine other employees are generally resistant to change, so I was quickly realized that, as well as you've got all different levels that you need to communicate at. So you'll see one of the things in your bags was, I tend to like to keep it simple, so those newsletters you have, you can take them home and totally rip them if you want, of just communicating all the CPOE projects and the IT projects in very clear terms, and as well as some of you might have gotten a newsletter on talking about lean as well. So those are some of those examples, and some of I didn't bring it, but we have an entire presentation as well just on the communication outlets at the hospital. We've got over 5 printed publications, so you can kind of imagine that we're still not completely paperless yet, and I'm not sure how many people actually read them. We've got an intranet that isn't always where people go, or they don't view it as a resource quite yet, trying to build that web culture. So those are some of the challenges we face, in addition to employees saying, I don't want any of this to happen. We put in the event description that we did pilot CPOE several years before, and then we took it down and waited a couple more years to get it right the second time, which there is a stat on that. It wasn't in here. I forget. I think 75% of academic medical centers do that. No one gets it right the first time. So that's sort of what I was faced with. And I wanted to go right into some of the things that did work, since physicians were probably one of the tougher audiences, because I'm sure we all can kind of relate to that they never want to change. They love the way they've been doing it forever, and we had to say, you know what, you have to change. So one of the things we did is, it's really hard to get them to come to 2 days of training, 4 hours of training, an hour training session. We gave them their training on flash drives. Sent them all out to the physician, said, train yourself whenever you get a chance. One of the other things we did is, we have physician lounges, I don't know if anybody has that, and it's been called Jurassic Park, because it tends to have some of the older physicians who are the ones who are most resistant to change. So we went in there and we gave them free lunch. I could not believe how doctors still love free lunches. Oh yeah, we went there with lunch, the trainers did, and they said, over this free lunch I will tell you all about what these systems are, and told me how to use it. So that worked as well. And now we are at pretty much complete physician adoption, which is not always easy, but you've got to just meet those needs. Another example, we've got this lovely board here about our Geek Fair, and that happened in January of 2009, and we gave the whole year of IT sort of a Geek Speak theme, just had a lot of fun with it. Everybody, these Geek Speak bags were filled with geeky snacks. We had the Wii there, Dance Dance Revolution, we played, and we had about 8 systems that were there that had demos, or even if it wasn't quite in demo phase yet, they still had some FAQs about it. People could ask questions, so that way they knew what was coming for the rest of the year. And we had over 500 people come, which is a lot for us, as well as we had a lot of super users who, it's hard to get advocates on your floor, and over 100 people went back to their unit managers and said, hey, I really liked that program. I want to be the super user for my floor. So we didn't have to go out and recruit later because we had over 100 sign up that day. As well, the intranet did start to work because what we did, you'll see in some of those, and especially for Compass, which is CPOE, Computer Acquisition Word Entry, got a video later, all about it. We just started putting VGHnet, that's our intranet / Compass, for everything. And on the day of go live, we had, that's actually wrong. It was over 4,000 hits the day of go live because people knew to go there for all their go live resources and their training manuals, what are the new issues, and how to solve them. So that started to build a little bit of a web culture, and it's continuing. And now all of the projects that come out of IT and the program management office have their own site. But people are still very dependent on paper, as we'll get to in a bit, but those were some of the things that did happen. One moment, please. What am I doing? There we go. So this is sort of what our site looks like. We use SharePoint. Anybody use SharePoint for their intranet? Oh, well, that's fun too. I love SharePoint. My colleagues tell me that I drink the Kool-Aid, but I like it. And so some of the fun things, you know, every system likes to have its own theme, and we put pictures, kind of make it a nice thing so that it's not always take the training manuals, please. As well as what I think we did new that worked was the idea of these press kits. So I said, I've kind of got a little bit of an example. We sent these packs to all the nursing units, and inside was a letter from our vice president of IT and a board for them to put on their own floor about the Geek Fair. And this letter explains what it is so that they could go to their department meetings. Hopefully the nurse manager was on board, told them everything she read in the letter, and then would put this board in her unit. And we printed all these. It also had nerds inside, a box of nerds candy, just to make it more fun. And that works because it's going right to their units rather than all the other sort of outlets that we have that can be a little bit overwhelming. One of the 5 printed publications, posters all over our campus. But that went right to them. So that seems to work, and we've done it for another one of our programs, RSO. We love that. So I've got another video on what that is too. And then, as I've explained a little bit, some of our APIs, the methods, always, our SharePoint, our intranet, it's got functions for more, to give more user feedback. But again, building that web culture, don't want to roll out too many things at once, but it would have been nice if we had more discussions and surveys, and probably even a wiki someday. And we still have a very strong dependency on paper. People want those manuals printed, they want a binder with everything, and we're trying to put them more online, as well as, is everybody just in love with videos and their bosses are telling them to make more videos? Yeah.